Well, what happens if you get left a home and you and your siblings differ on what you want to do with it? Do you sell it? Do you want to live there? Well, how do you make sure you don't argue over this and come to a conclusion that makes everyone happy? We'll discuss that next with Nick. Welcome in. This is Complete Estate Planning. Glad to have you on the channel. Once more, please subscribe if you haven't. You'll find everything online at CincinnatiEstatePlan.com. So, Nick, we got a scenario here today that I want to throw your way. It's a listener question. I think it's a great one that I think probably a lot of families deal with. So I want to work through this with you here. So here it is. My brother and I are going to inherit our parents' house when they die. I've been told that we can just, quote, decide what to do with it. I know you love it when plans are just left open like that. I know what my brother will want to sell it immediately because he could use the cash, but I'd actually prefer to keep the property as a rental. So what happens if we can't agree, and who's going to win that argument? So where do you want to start, Nick? Because I know this is probably a situation a lot of people deal with. If you have a sibling and your parents have a house that you expect to live, you have a couple options there, but there's probably a good chance that you might not agree on it.
Exactly right. And look, here's the thing. Let's just first off acknowledge the fact that unlike money, where, if you and I are both receiving half of, dad's Fidelity account, and again, I feel like I should stop saying Fidelity without sponsorship dollars. So, but it just keeps coming back up. But Fidelity can give me my money and give you your money, and we are no longer attached at the hip. If you want to save yours, I want to spend mine, it doesn't matter. We can do what we want. You can't take a house and say you get the upstairs and I get the downstairs. It's not splittable that way. It is a house, and we all have to be kind of aligned in lockstep. Okay, so let's call it what it is. This is an asset that's not very splittable in its current form. Few things you can do, and I think this is not the case here in the for the situation for the listener, but I'm going to bring it up. The clients, so your parents could say what they want to have happen with the house in their estate plan. They can say, they can pick one of the kids to get the house. They could say the house must be sold, and then we know everyone's getting cash. They can say the house has to be held on to if it's like an old family farm or, lake house. And if people do that, if the homeowners do that, then it's just here's the rules and everyone has to follow them. When it's left open or they have not specifically put in requirements or handcuffs for the house, then it is up to the executor or the trustee to make the final call. But typically that is done with input from the family. So the way I look at it is, if I were advising the executor, I would say, does any one of the beneficiaries, do you or your brother want to inherit this house? Does anyone want to inherit it or buy it? And if everyone says no, well, that's easy. We'll put it on the market, we'll sell it, and then we distribute cash. That's super easy, right, Ben? And then because I can split cash very easily.
Right.
If there's anyone who is interested and says I might want the house, then we have to get it appraised professionally, not a Zillow listing, not my best friend who is a part-time realtor comes in and writes a little note saying, in my opinion, this house is worth $20. No family friend discount. We get a legit value. And here's why. If the house is worth $200,000 and Ben, you and I are both supposed to get it, then, if the house is overvalued, then the person who's getting, then one person's getting screwed. Okay. Because what'll happen is I'd like the house, let's get it appraised. And then we'll say, okay, the house is worth $200,000. Your half of the house is worth $100,000. You have to buy out, so Ben, I would have to buy out you because you own $100,000 worth of equity in the house as well. And I either have to give you money, or if we are also getting an inheritance, if there's $200,000 in cash, I can just say, I'll take a $200,000 house and you take $200,000 in money. So what you want is you still want the overall inheritance amount, regardless of if it's cash, house, doesn't matter what form it is, but we still want that to be equal. That's the only way that someone doesn't get screwed. I'm not interested in a family friend discount because then I get extra at your expense. Okay, the problem is if someone wins, the other person loses in this instance. And even if there is no money, Ben, it would be, well, the house is worth $200,000, so I get half, but I would have to pay you out of my own money or get a mortgage for $100,000 to give to you. That would be the only way that you are treated fairly. And, then we'll find out if they really want it. Because that would be no different than us putting it on Zillow and I just bid $200,000 for it. Mm-hmm. So that's easy if we have a buyout. If we don't have a buyout, or if they can't agree, or if the house gets distributed in kind, which means your name and my name are on the deed, then we are forced business partners. Because you and I both own it. We're not waiting for an inheritance and the house is up here. It's you and I are on a deed. Then, unfortunately, all the property owners have to unanimously agree to everything. Because if we're going to sell it and you don't show up at the closing and you won't sign the closing paperwork, we can't sell the house. So the sad thing is one person can throw a monkey wrench into this for the property. I'm assuming most states have similar laws. In Ohio, if people cannot agree, then what you do is you file what's known as a partition action. It is a lawsuit where you basically say, we cannot agree on what to do with this property. And then a judge will force the property to be sold and the money split. It's not fun. A lot of times it's a distressed or a desperate sale. So you're probably not going to get market price. You're probably going to get a discounted price. But if you can agree, that's best. But if you cannot agree, then you can force the issue by filing a lawsuit and and the judge will force it to be sold. So again, not ideal, but as far as who wins the argument, whoever raises their hand and say, we can't agree. Think of it like a divorce. If someone files for divorce saying we can't agree, the other person can't stop them, right? And get it to a situation where I will not let you get divorced. We will remain married. If one person wants out, then they get out. So the best thing to do, in this instance is and again, you get a professional appraisal, see if someone wants it at the fair price. And if they want it, that's fine. The other person, Ben, if I'm buying it, you don't care if you get $200,000 from me or from Johnny down the street, as long as you get your full money. So there's no reason to block out or box out family from buying it, as long as they pay full price. Once you get into family and friend discounts, that's when you're kind of ripping someone off. So I stay away from that.
Do you ever get more creative in this situation if they want to use it for a rental rather than like live in it per se? Or do you still say, okay, either it's you buy it out completely and go that route?
So only if people agree.
Okay.
If you and I both say, hey, I'm okay with it becoming a rental, and you're okay with it becoming a rental, that's okay. But we need to be in agreement on this. And then we get to the situation where I say, all right, well, Ben, you and I are basically going into business together. And you need to formalize that relationship. We need to form an LLC or a business entity. And then part of that formation, the attorney, like I would sit down and say, who handles all of this? Who manages the day-to-day of the business? What are the responsibilities? Do you have equal ownership? And what are the rules if you guys have a disagreement about the business in general? But the nice thing and again, that's fine. I've had plenty of people do that, especially in today's real estate market, where the house is paid off and you realize someone will pay $2,500 a month in rent. And everyone just says cha-ching. Or maybe they just watched HGTV, right? And think they're going to become a real estate tycoon. But then go through the process of formalizing that business relationship, because that's what it is. I don't like to just wing it.
Fair enough. Well, learn more at CincinnatiEstatePlan.com if you are in a similar situation and you want to start working through this, figure out your options, or at least schedule a meeting and start laying out the groundwork for how this will proceed forward. Now is the time to do that. CincinnatiEstatePlan.com. If you want to learn more, please subscribe to the channel. Plenty of videos coming. Also, a lot in the library already, so please check those out. We'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Nick, as always, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And for all of our listeners, keep the questions coming. I love hearing them, and we try to answer as many as possible.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by estate planning? The process can seem complex, but it doesn't have to be. The Rosenbauer Law Office is dedicated to helping you protect what matters most: your family, your assets, and your peace of mind. Nick and the team will guide you through every step of the process, making sure you feel confident and informed along the way. Take the first step toward peace of mind today. Schedule an introductory call by clicking the link in the description of today's show.
This show is for informational purposes only and does not provide any legal advice. Information on this show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal information. Please do not act or refrain from acting based solely on anything you hear on this show. This show does not form any attorney-client relationship with the Rosenbauer Law Office, LLC. Please seek the counsel of a qualified attorney before addressing your own estate planning needs.